I want to be modest. I don't think there's any of my children that will say that I have not shown love to them. I know what it is to love, and I know what it is not to love. I have experienced both sides, and I know which one is better. Good afternoon, ma.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, to the glory of God.
How do you feel right now? How do you feel right now?
I feel good.
Why?
Why I feel good? I have every reason to feel good. I slept last night and I woke up this morning. Because God said, yes, I must wake up. Not only that, I woke up sound, healthy, and I'm not worried by anything. So I feel very good, and I'm grateful to God for that. How has love shaped the person I am today? Serious question. Where do I start from? Let me start from as far as I can remember. And that will take me back to when I was growing up. The first few years of my life, I spent with my parents, my mom, my dad, and a few other relations. Then I knew what love was. Pure love, parental love, they showed me. They would buy me things. You know, little things used to impress small children. And somehow my parents were very keen on knowing those things that interested me. I used to enjoy a lot of bushmeat and smoked fish. So my dad would make sure that there was plenty of bushmeat because he was, in a way, he had access to where he could source bushmeat. And my mom also had access to where he could source smoked fish. So they made it abundantly available to me. Of course, it was in a rural farm settlement. And I used to enjoy running after them to the farm. Of course, I couldn't do any farm work. But I used to enjoy playing around, watching the birds, seeing the green nature of the. And then particularly when you put seed, you sow seed, and within a few days you see the seed germinating. All those things showed love, parental. And then of course I started school. And the nature of the love changed a little bit because I didn't go to school where my parents were. So it meant that I had to define love or view love from the perspective of the people I grew up with and the colleagues in school. Of course, we were all very young. And so again, love took a different dimension, which was still relatively okay. Then I started living with others that were not directly related to me or to my parents, not even from the same state. It was there love took a different turn. And I define love at that level as, what's the opposite of love? I will use it, but I don't want to put any particular word. Because I felt a sense of regret that I left my parents. Some of those people did not show me love. I lived with 4 different human beings. The first one showed love to a point before he got married. But from the moment he got married, his wife adjusted something in his head. And then that love changed from love to something else. All the first few years with the man, he never used cane on us. I wasn't the only one living with him. But from the moment he got married, I don't know what the wife did to him. The man changed. So women are very powerful. And they are supposed to be object of love. But this one was a different story. I left that one. I thought that I saw hell. And I moved to another person. I didn't know that where I was before was heaven compared to this next phase. That one showed me, in those days we would say he showed him pepper. There was no love in that place at all. There was no love. And this was expressed in different ways. First, denial of food at the right time. And even if they give you food, the quantity they will give you, the meat they will give you, although those days it didn't mean much to me because that was the best I knew. Now looking back, you will know that yes, there was a lot of discrimination. We were like 5 small young boys living with the man. When they serve the meal, you will see the difference between your own and the ones that are served to others. As I said, it didn't mean much then, but later, reflecting on those things, you know that no, this is not the way to show love. And then I matured into a stage where, secondary school, and we started having, those days we used to call it pen pals. Newspapers would publish photographs of boys and girls asking for pals. You never got to know each other. But you just write a letter. I want you to be my pen pal. That's love in another dimension. And then later it became real. Real in the sense that you now have physical intimacy with people. And I think the first person in my life that I had that kind of feeling towards was actually my classmate. But she went to secondary school before me. And that day I just slept and I dreamt. And I saw her in my dream. Somehow, I just fell in love with her. Of course, that love was innocent love. What I would call innocent love. Not love with, in fact, tomorrow, if you ask, she's still alive. Ask me the color of any part of her dress, I had no idea. But the love was very natural. So every time she was coming back home for holidays, I would make sure I especially go to hunt. I will look for fruits, native fruits from the jungle. And any bushmeat I'm able to catch. For who? Just for this individual. Not because I wanted anything from her, but the thing just came naturally. And then, of course, from there, we moved to a next level of love, which was now to look for who to settle with for life. And then I met my wife. So that's love in one dimension. And then later, got married, started having children. And of course, you have to love not only their mother, you also have to love the children. And one of the things that, to tie it to your question, what shaped my life today, I want to be modest. I don't think there's any of my children that will say that I have not shown love to them. In fact, at a point, I remember I even asked once that I hope I'm not spoiling them with the way I try to show love to them. And the only reason, the explanation I can give for that is because what I lacked growing up, I didn't want my own children to lack it. Which was why I also insisted that wherever I live in my life, no matter how poor, I made that decision long ago. No matter how poor I am or how comfortable I am, my children will not grow up with any other human being for as long as I'm alive. They will grow. If it's Gary I'm soaking, we will soak it together. If it's Bolly, we eat to go and sleep. We will eat it together because I wouldn't want them to experience the kind of deprivation that I experienced when I was growing up with other people. I tried to experiment once. That time, I think I had only, how many kids did I have then? I can't remember exactly. I have a friend in Abuja, very close friend of mine. And I told them to go and spend holidays with, I said they will spend 2 weeks there, together with their mother. After 3 days, I called my friend, sorry, I'm not sure I can survive for 2 weeks. After 1 week, let them come back. And by the grace of God, after 1 week, they were back in my house. And since then, I have not allowed them to go anywhere and spend too long time away from me. So this has been the various ways in which, if you ask me how love has shaped my life, I know what it is to love, and I know what it is not to love. I have experienced both sides, and I know which one is better. Special love letter. I like the envelope. Okay.
Alright. Who do you think the letter is from?
Is a letter that's inside?
Yes. Wild guess.
Why? Who do I think the letter is from? Wow. Honestly, I can't guess, because I didn't even think about it. Could it be from my daughter? Because my daughters have a way of surprising me. In fact, when I first got the info, I had to go and search, because I received so many letters from them. I had to go and pick one of the letters, and I kept it. When they said I would be reading a letter, I thought it was going to be one of the letters from them. So if there's any letter today, maybe it's from one of my daughters. Which one, I don't know.
Why not your wife?
Why not my wife? Because I have not received, except this is going to be a surprise. I've not received any letter of this nature from her, but I have received from my daughters. How do I show my wife love?
How does she show you?
You know, maybe this thing has generational dimensions. In our own generation, you see a woman, a lady, you tell her, I love you. Certain things you see in her. Of course, naturally, is the figure you see first. And then as you get closer, you discover what is the content in that figure. And it's both ways. The lady sees the man first, then begin to uncover the content of that figure. And gradually, both of you realize that, yes, you are compatible. And then you get along. And then part of the love is the product that comes from the union by way of children, and then the things you do together, the sharing together, the support you give to each other. That's the various ways to show love to your spouse. And of course, these things vary as you move in the journey. And that is why you find somebody who is only 2 years in marriage, when you compare with somebody who is 40 years in marriage. If there's a way to measure the degree of love, there will be differences. In fact, some women complain that their children steal the love of their father. And so because of that, their father no longer loved them as much as before the children started coming. It's very true. Because there's now competition. And it's a fact of life. So we must get to live. Of course, the woman is the basic unit of love, the foundation of the love in the house. April 2nd this year, we will be 37 years in our marriage. Where were you 37 years ago? God was still preparing you up there. We got married in 1988, April 2nd, 1988. If you calculate that to now, that will be 37 years. It's been a long journey. Well, I don't know if others can pick it, but you see, this whole journey of marriage is an individual thing. Long before I got married, I resolved it is either I get married and remain in it for life, or I don't get married at all. And I would rather marry late. You know, these days, somebody will say, I'm married 6 months, 2 years, they are gone. And I was determined that whatever it is, once I make up my mind that I'm going to marry, I will remain in it. So the first thing is that both parties must make up their mind. There's no marriage that is bed of roses from beginning to the end. In the last 37 years, are you going to believe me if I tell you that there hasn't been issues? I know you will not believe. You may hear me, but you won't believe me. There have been serious issues. But at the end of the day, because of that commitment, that decision from day one, I'm ready to absorb, to live with, and to close my eyes to some things. Just as I'm sure my own wife, too, if you ask her, she probably will tell you the same story. In fact, I always look at myself as a very difficult person occasionally. For anybody to live with me, you have to be tolerant. And so for her to remain for 37 years, if there's an award for, she deserves an award, just as I do too. So those who are getting married now must make up their mind they are ready to stay in it. Will there be reasons to question, is this the right person to marry or not? Several reasons. Coming from relations, coming from in-laws, coming from friends. That is even the worst aspect. When a man or a woman in a healthy marriage, in a happy home, begins to allow friends to influence their decisions, their actions, then something is wrong. You know, some friends, of course they laugh with you, but they're not happy that you have a happy home. Maybe because their own home also has problems. So they want their own to be like your own, or your own to be like their own rather. And so if you listen to them, you get it all wrong. And I will also advise that couples must be open to each other. You know, we were advised when we were getting married, say don't talk or don't, you know, and then of course you will not talk, you bottle up everything until it's about to explode. And once it explodes, it's disaster. Share it, talk about it, and put it behind you and wait for the next one, because the next one will come. For as long as we are human beings. The tongue and the teeth, they live in the same house. They are the closest. Without one, you can't eat your food. Yet, they bite each other. That they bite each other doesn't mean that they won't work together again. They will still work together. Immediately, they put it behind them and they forge ahead. So marriage is God did not make mistake when he set up that institution. But it takes a lot of sacrifice on both sides, and we must understand that. Even wealthy people, you just saw Bill Gates. He divorced his wife, and he said it cost him 30-something billion naira. So it has nothing to do with age, with wealth, with your economic status. No. It can happen if both parties don't manage it well. And of course, more importantly, in fact, the number one part of it is God himself has set up the institution. You must not take him away from your home. Either individually or jointly, you must consult him at all times. And God help you. Who wrote it? Shouldn't you commend me? I got it now. It could only have been from one of you. Daddy's Valentine message. Valentine. It's the season of love. And I just want to take a moment to remind you how much I love you. You mean the world to me. Thank you for nurturing me, for being the constant source of strength, and for always showing up as the amazing man you are. You've given me more than I could ever ask for. Whether it was your wisdom, your support, or always making sure I had what I needed. I honestly can't remember a time when you didn't have my back, and for that, I will be forever grateful. Thank you for believing in my dreams, even when they seemed impossible, and for pushing me to reach for them. You've been there through it all, and I'm beyond lucky to be your daughter. I want you to know that you are the best father I could ever have asked for. You always be the first man I loved, and that will never change. Happy Valentine's Day, Daddy. From your forever loving daughter. Guess who? I'm very emotional. Thank you. I love you deeply. I'm sure you know you bring me joy. I'm very proud of you. God will keep you for me. It's not from you. This is the kind of Medile. It's Medile, Abby. You all write the same thing. I think I'm fortunate to have you as my daughters. And you don't hide it, so I thank God. Medi. My relationship with her. First, she's my daughter, in whom I am well pleased. She's all my kids are talented, but she also has her own. I will never forget the day she came to me and said I should give her a loan. And she mentioned she was a student. She mentioned the figure. I was scared. What do you want to do with it? She said, I want to do business with it. Huh? When I was in school, even when I left school, the idea of business never crossed my mind. But this again, I think she was in her second year or third year, I can't remember now. Already thinking of business. And I said, what do you know about business? She whispered a few things. And I said, do you know what a business plan is? She said, yes. I said, okay. No, I said, do you know what a feasibility study is? So I explained to her what it is. I said, before I give you this money, I want to see your feasibility plan. A few days after, she brought what she called her feasibility. Of course, I saw that she knew what she was talking about, although it didn't pass for, if it was an exam. I would raise a number of questions, but I knew she knew what we were talking about. So I gave her the money. And I said, these are the terms. And by the end of the time we agreed, she brought back my money and brought back the profit from the business. And I looked at her and I said, no, this is amazing. So Medile is the kind of person that, in fact, she's an embodiment of love herself. Not only to me. I believe when I watch her from a distance, the way she relates with a lot of people, it doesn't take her time to hug anybody. And I always appreciate that from her. She's very dear to me, just like every of my kids. And so when I hear anything about her or that relates to her, just as I would do for any of them, I don't waste time. I get up and I start running for it. So I love her a lot. Yeah, I think a lot of people actually misunderstand this whole concept of love and just zero in on romance. Romance is just one small element of it. If you go the spiritual way, even the holy books, the Bible especially, talks about it. First of all, it talked about love your God with all your heart, your soul, your spirit, your strength. And then it says, love your neighbor as yourself. And then I think there's a whole chapter of the Bible, 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Sorry, I'm going... Everything from the beginning to the end is love. Love is tolerant, is enduring. It does not backbite, it does not harbor, it says a lot of things that, so anybody who wants to know anything about love, just pick 1 Corinthians 13. You will have enough. Unfortunately, the era we are in now, the moment you hear Valentine's Day, people will be thinking of how to go and connect in one eatery or the other. That is not all there is to love. Love is about giving yourself, self-sacrifice. And love can be to individuals, it can be to communities, it can be to even causes. You take up a cause and you say, no, this cause, because it's beneficial to humanity, I will devote the rest of my life to it. I'll give you an example. When I was young, we just see one white man. He abandons his country and comes to stay in a village where there's no light, there's no water, there's nothing. He does not know anybody in that place, yet he's ready to live with them. Why? Because they say he's a medical expert. And he hears that there's ravaging diseases killing people there. And the man says, I'm sacrificing the good things of life. That is love. That is the kind of love that people should show. Not so much, go and date somewhere and eat, and then from there you go and be doing all kinds of things. I think we got it all wrong. Particularly the way the media, I think they contributed to this. If you look at the original concept of Valentine's Day, it was actually supposed to be a kind of sacrifice. I understand the guy who answers Valentine was actually murdered, and he became a martyr. Because of the good deeds he did, I understand he was a Catholic priest who had I would say from God, he was able to do some things that others could not do, including healing people. In fact, the person that jailed him, he healed the person's daughter, and yet they still killed him. There are different kinds of stories around it. So at the end of the day, they decided that he would remain a saint. And somehow, the world took it and bastardized it and turned it into what we now see today as Valentine's Day. I'm not saying there's anything bad in having that aspect of it, but it shouldn't be the main focus. the core of love is give yourself without thinking of getting anything back. Just because you want to advance the good fortunes of others, and that good fortune can be anything. That's what I better particularly emphasize, that 1 Corinthians. If I remember when I was in secondary school, I used to cram it in my head. I would be reciting it on a regular basis. Love does not hate. Love does not do this, love does not do that. It does this, it does that. So if you check it out, you will see it there. You can pick so many things from it. Thank you.